Here is another helpful video for anyone who has a problem with their floor sheathing. Plywood OSB running in the wrong direction. And before I get started on that, let me show you the direction that it does need to run. So plywood usually runs, if you have a 4x8 sheet of plywood, 4 foot by 8 foot, the 4 foot section usually runs parallel with the joist. The 8 foot side usually runs perpendicular to the joist. Exactly how I have it in the picture here. Now this is square edge plywood, and the square edge plywood will need to be blocked around the perimeter. All of the breaks on the floor sheathing need to be over something, the center of the joist, like we have it there. And you need to make sure that the floor sheathing, if you don't have this, but you do have this, where the sheathing is running the wrong direction and your floor is bouncing, it's sagging, whatever, you need to make sure that it's not just the floor joist, because the floor sheathing, OSB or plywood, it might be just perfectly fine. You might have joists that are overspanned, they're too far apart, they aren't the right size. Instead of 2x8s, they needed to be 2x10 or 2x12. But either way, if you're convinced that your problem in the floor is because the floor sheathing is in the wrong direction, it is not running the way the manufacturer suggested it to run, then you could always take and install some blocks underneath it. And you can see how you would now have the perpendicular support. So these things would be acting as the joists running perpendicular to the length of the plywood or OSB, the floor sheathing. And I do want to say this is actually an approved, I did this on a job that I worked on. And I didn't have to do a lot of it because it was a lot of work. But it was a job that I worked on. The contractor installed the plywood in the wrong direction because the architect drew it in the wrong direction. The contractor called the architect. The architect said, yeah, run the plywood in the wrong direction. And when the building inspector came out, he said, unacceptable. The plywood needs to go in the other direction. And then we had to come in and install blocks underneath all of the sheathing. And now let's take a look at how we might fasten the blocks to the joist with some 16D nails if you're going to be end nailing the blocks. And obviously you won't be able to end nail the block that you put in on the other side, so you might have to toe nail the block. 16D nails. You might be able to use 8D nails when you're toe nailing, not when you're end nailing. So an idea of what the toenail would look like there. Just to nail it at 45. 2 nails on one side, 1 on the other side, or 1 on one side, 1 on the other side. Remember, this is not, I'm not providing you with structural engineering advice, a guarantee that you can actually do something like this. These are only suggested repair methods. So like I said, I did see this done on a project before. I am making a video. At the same time, I'm telling you that you might not be able to do this because it might not be approved by an engineer, your local building department, or local building authorities. So always check with them before doing repairs. The last thing I want to do is provide you with something that you get the impression of, that it's an approved method and you can go ahead and do it, and then you find out that you can't. I see too many videos where people do things they shouldn't be doing. So again, yeah, I stress this in a lot of my videos. A lot of people love to hear it. I got it. And I would imagine that's where some of the thumbs down on my video come from, because they're looking for a method that is going to work guaranteed. And that's just not the way it is all over the world. If you live in Canada and you're watching a video from somebody in Southern California, and you decide, yeah, I'm going to do it that way, might not work. Another method to attach the blocks will be with maybe some framing anchors or building hardware. And of course, I need to point out that if you are going to remove and replace the sheathing, which is another option, that the sheathing might be running underneath the walls. This is a common construction method, so this is going to make it a little more difficult. However, that won't be a problem if you install plywood or OSB approved subflooring on top of the stuff that wasn't installed. And this is a method right here I'm not really hip on, because you're going to get squeaks, in between some of these spots. And not always guaranteed that this is going to be a quiet floor. So, and this might not be something that an engineer would approve. You might have to drive some 16D nails or something, some longer nails into the joist for one. You might need to use adhesive, a lot of adhesive, to prevent any squeaking. The subflooring might need to be really clean, and on and on and on. So again, this is an easy fix. It just might not provide you with a quiet floor, is my only concern with sheathing on top. But again, this is probably what most people are going to end up doing. Now for my next method, that would be to remove some of the flooring. For one, this gives you access underneath the other parts of the house. So if you have let's go back up here, if you have an access hole over here, and you're going to be working over here, you're going to be dragging all your materials through here to make your repairs. You forget something, you got to go all the way back. Sometimes it's easier just to cut a hole in the floor. And this might actually be something, if you're not going to do this and you need to fix this area here, you might want to just cut a section out right here to where you can get underneath here and access these areas easier. So just another thing to consider. So here I just cut, and I am going to block this. You'll see that in a second. So I left this to where this was 16 inches. Once I put my blocks in here, I'll have my span, my approved span there. And in here, I just cut it over the center of the joist. Now you can cut it closer, and an engineer might want you to cut it closer. That'll be up to, between you guys and gals. And but I kind of like this idea. This, even though the flooring is in the wrong direction, I can always install some blocks under here. And but this seems to provide you with better nailing. And again, just personal opinion there. Remember, this will need to be perimeter nailing. This will need to nail, if it was nailed at 10 or 12 inches on spacing on center, your nails, they might need to be 6 or even 4 inches on center around all of the edges, around the entire perimeter here on both sides, the new plywood or the new OSB and the existing stuff. And usually in the field, the OSB or the nailing is going to be between 10 and 12 inch on center spacing, in the center more. So what I did here was just kind of give you an idea. Why did I notch this here? It was because the joist lapped, so I had to kind of stop it and then come back over here. And again, I'm just giving you an idea. You might not run into this situation, but of course we did here in this particular example. And now we are going to install our blocks. So any place around here where the new flooring is going to meet the existing flooring is going to need something to nail to. So you would center the block. If it's 1.5 inches, the center where the edge of the subflooring is, it's going to be 3/4 of an inch on each side so that you can nail into the block with both pieces. Now I do have a piece here. If you're going to be removing the any doors or sliding glass doors, something like that, you might want to remove this and then start with and install the piece in the right direction. Just another thing to think about when you're planning your project. Blocks, and then here I have a 2x4 nailer that I nailed on to the joist. Now I could have always cut this back because you can see the joist here. So if I was going to do something like this, I would make sure that this was over. I wouldn't use this nailer. I put this nailer in here just to provide you with an example of, you might come into a situation where it's going to be easier to install some type of a nailer or a scab next to the joist like this so that you can get your perimeter nailing. And then here we're using our midspan blocks for the sheathing. And again, it's going to take a little bit of planning. If you know these blocks are here, cut your subflooring here, cut a piece out, something in the center where you can measure over it so that you can get everything to line up perfectly if at all possible. Now, something else I wanted to give you an idea of, or an example where you could actually see it, is with this area open and you wanted to come in and block underneath the kitchen, cabinets and stuff like that. You could do it. You don't have to crawl through the crawl space like I was saying. So this could provide you with a nice, easy access to if you were going to do something like this. And again, they're 24 inches on center, all the way around here. Now it's time for the sheathing. There it is. It's how fast we are here. And I just kind of put some plywood in here to give you an idea. I wanted to have the two pieces, different colors, different textures, so that you could see that you wouldn't get confused. So the existing stuff and the new stuff. And of course, we are running the subflooring in the correct direction. And if you think about it here, you know, you're not going to be standing over here. You know, you might have an entertainment center or something over here that you're going to want to put some blocks underneath to support that. But as far as walking goes, you are going to be traveling through the flooring. You're going to, you know, I guess I should have pointed that out here. Let me just go back up to this one here. You know, you might just have some problems in your high traffic areas. Front doors here. You might have a problem here, down the hallways, maybe even into the bedrooms or something like that. And if that's the case, then you don't need to go through the entire house. Just fix the sections that are making the noise, that are irritating you or that are sagging. So something else to consider, you know, like in a closet. You know, that might not be that big of a deal. If it's not making the noise, in other words, not irritating you, then it might not need to be fixed. So that is it for the video. Hope you liked it. Any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment area and I will answer them as soon as possible.